Hey guys, this is Andrew Lee, your admin over at the California Insurance Agents Group. And today I do have a special guest, and this is Todd Villenueve, and he has been um, an absolute force in the industry, and also during some of our get-togethers, aka conferences in our industry. He puts on one heck of a party slash dinner, whatever events you have. He always does it big. So he's been kind enough to invite me to a couple of those. And again, as one integrity person to another, it's always good supporting you, and then also always good seeing you as well too. So I just wanted to welcome you to the California podcast here. Todd, how was your day? How's everything going with you?
Couldn't be better, Andrew. I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, kind of go big, go home when it comes to us, and how we like to do things after hours and dinners and those type of things. Yeah, I figured I had you at enough of these dinners that I needed to get to know you a little better. The kind of following you, stalking you from afar, but I like that you did the hard 75. You got your lifestyle in order, you got your health in order. I'm trying to do some of that myself. So yeah, so I know that you're becoming a force in the California markets. That is a new market for us at IFC. That's an IMO that I own and merged with Integrity. But yeah, I'm excited to be on here. I'm excited to be on here.
Yeah, happy to have you on. And yes, absolutely. I was going to get into the IFC situation, and you did it yourself here. So, of course, IFC, he is the president slash founder slash, top dog. They call him the Todd Father over there. And just for the crowd out there, a little bit about IFC, what you guys offer, and
Yeah.
sort of, the background and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of the last bastion of some of the old time IMOs. I've been in the industry 31 years. I've been married 31 years, but I've owned this now for going on 21 years. And we're up, well, I like to call it a full service IMO. We have no retail. We only work with independent agents, and we've built our agency just for the agent experience. Our niche is to help agents be successful. And that's, we're about 45 people strong. We write product lines non-PNC. So we're doing annuities and life insurance, group, individual, heavy Medicare, and a lot of senior products like final expense and whatnot. Do well over 100 million in annuities, and we're actually training agents now to be able to write products that they're passing by right now, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of
So
money left on the
that's a
table.
little bit
Very
about
cool.
us. I've got two of my kids working for me,
Yeah.
one in agent training, and we're building actually agents from scratch and put them in agencies. And then my daughter Audrey is an external wholesaler. She's kind of got the home market up here in Minnesota, and branches out from there.
Yeah, and I've been following your guys' marketing as well too. I know Audrey does her shorts and sort of what happens in the office, and I like those videos. I mean, it's candid, it's up there, it's hip with the TikTok crew. I love what you guys are doing with that. But ultimately, you have a successful brand and a successful business. So that is the reason why I definitely had you on a short list of having you on as a guest here on the podcast. We do have a topic to talk about, right? Now, the topic today at hand is how to keep the fox out of the hen hole, right? So essentially, in English, what that means,
Henhouse,
hen house. There you go.
the
The
hen
hen hole's
hole,
crazy.
henhouse.
Yeah, hen
I suppose
house. There
that
you go.
too.
I even
Way too
butchered it.
local.
So, how to keep the fox out of
No,
the hen house. And this is a topic that a lot of people go through, right? It's you're writing the policy, and all of a sudden there's all these other factors coming in, other agents trying to poach your clients. Retention, of course, is sort of hard to play that game without the proper techniques and the proper situations in mind there. So, Todd, I know that you're very good at walking people through this and walking your agents through this. Can you share with the California people on how to keep these foxes out?
yeah. Well, started to look at, people are always, "Hey, I need leads, I need leads. How can I get, how can I scale up? How can I monetize, my agency?" And we started to look into it, and we found out that the specialization of Medicare is very important. And it's a labor intensive lift to stay on time and stay current with Medicare, But if you're saying, listen, I don't write any of these other products, I don't write life insurance, I don't do final expense, I don't even talk about annuities, then you're consciously allowing other agents to talk to your clients because believe it or not, they're buying the product. So we actually have monetized what each of your clients would actually bring in revenue for agents that actually want to try to either partner up with a key financial planner or learn how to do it themselves. But reoccurring revenue every year per client is about $150 they're losing. If you have an agency that has maybe 10 agents and 5,000 policies, you're losing $20 of a client in revenue that your agency is just letting the fox or another agent write. We did studies with this. I have a couple agencies that were using external people to market and tend to do mail leads and the mailing out their clients. And he, even on a split basis, was making six figures. And I did it 3 years straight, had about 2,000 agents, and was bringing in about $150 actually to the penny of revenue that he was making off of those. And if you have 500 clients, that's 75 grand. Even if you split it with somebody, Andrew, it's 37.5. That helps pay for an assistant or buys more leads. But you've done the hardest thing. You've gotten their trust. You've gotten them in the house. You've gotten them in your hen house, if we want to keep using that analogy. But you are consciously letting that revenue go. And God forbid that person also does Medicare. Because if I find out what your entire state plan is, or if I do some life insurance, or you roll over an IRA to me, and I put $600,000 in the annuity, and I say, oh, I also do that Medicare too. I can help fund that. We can talk about edging and getting money out of here to kind of pay for the increased cost of healthcare in the future. You kind of lost a couple rungs on the ladder there as far as that client seeing you as that Medicare expert. So we believe that it's a very easy marketing shift to start to have these conversations. You can create a great, really a referral pool of people that if you say I'm going to stay Medicare centric. Maybe we just made up a term right now, Andrew, Medicare centric. If that's going to be your bailiwick,
I'll see that, guys.
Yes, and if we go out, yeah, we'll be trademarking soon. And you choose not to write those other products, then build a team. Build a team, and guess what? They can start kicking you referrals too. You work with that CFP, say, I will be sending all my people to you because this is a market I don't want to be in. As a matter of fact, can I sit in for a couple of them so I can learn? And then eventually you can have the easier side conversations. So they'll kind of teach you how to fish. In the Midwest, we do it. I have internal agents that we hire, and they're actually employees, and all they do is go write business for other agents. The stuff they don't want to do, either we teach them how to fish or fish for them, but we don't ever tread on anything else. As a matter of fact, if there's something new, if we even ask for referrals and give them back to the agent. So we are built only for the agent experience. And so, but like in your scenario, if somebody in California wanted to be able to maximize the revenue of his clients and be able to scale that, because remember, if you're consistently getting $75,000 of revenue out of non-Medicare products, that sells on a multiple just like your multiple on your Medicare. So you're actually creating more value, and you've actually monetized it. It's not a guess. It's not blue sky anymore. It's actual revenue that you're gaining in. And you can even say that I've been very passive about it. And then you could say, I should be doing twice that because I haven't been aggressive. It's something I send some emails out. I do some casual, non-strategic marketing, but that's coming just kind of the easy low hanging fruit.
Right. And you know what? I've sorry to cut you off there. I realized, and again, we were just at Medicarians together, and I'm sure you've heard, a lot of agents talk about this. The hot topic sort of has been about cross-selling these days. I don't know if you've noticed, and it's because of the market shift. Obviously, we know this, and people just trying to find their own way to, again, retention is going to be a huge tool because that's the whole reason why in the P&C world you have an umbrella policy with somebody, right? If you had an umbrella policy, let's say in the P&C world, you have one agent that takes care of your auto, your home, your everything, right? Your possessions, what have you. Same in the insurance or health insurance world, right? Now, again, if you have more products, and this is just me as a cross seller myself or offering different products as well, then you differentiate yourself from Billy Bob agency down the street because they only offered the initial policy, right? They only
Right.
offered the whatever you actually need to get, what you're required to get. But what stands you out as the Cadillac agency is the fact that you brought all this up. And not only are we leaving money on the table if we don't bring it up, we're doing them a disservice. And at the same time, our retention goes lower because they can just switch over if it's a let's call it a dual plan, or let's call it,
Mhm.
somebody that's in a position that can just sort of switch. There's no skin in their game as us as their agents without enough
Yeah.
policies. I've been noticing. So that's why I always preach to my people, hey, we're a Cadillac agency. You should be one too, because again, we don't all want to do the same thing because we're not all going to get the same results. So yeah, completely nailed it there. Why do you feel like people aren't offering such products?
Well, I'll talk to that in a sec. The one thing when you're talking to people, the trick I learned is 30, 60, 90. If you have one product, you have a 30% chance of that client staying with you for up to 10 years.
Yeah.
If you have two products, you have a 60% chance of them staying for you for 10 years. And if you have three products, you have over 90% chance of retaining that client probably for life at that point. And Genworth always talked about they'd be clients for life. Or GE if they had three appliances that had a G, they will never buy anything else. They had historically, and it's just the multiple of products. But I think, I can go back to the old guard of Medicare agents and the new agents. It's the same thing. They don't want to look dumb if they ask the question and somebody says, yeah, could you tell me about annuities? And then they're like, shit, what do I say now? So
Right.
that's why I say strategically partner, ask the question and say, I brought Dave Thompson in as my as my financial planner for my clients. I would like him to work with you and answer that question. Or you've worked with Dave or been shown how to, or it's a simple annuity and you're fine with it. You can then ask and answer the questions because you've been trained to do so. It's that learning curve that isn't as aggressive as going through HIPAA and all the certifications and all that kind of stuff for Medicare. It isn't as heavy of a lift, and it's still a commodity. Annuities are a commodity. Life insurance, it can be a commodity when you're looking at final expense. More of it's a sales skill type to sell and create need, and it's an empathetic sale where you create feelings. But that's a learned trait. But it also can be jobbed out. They're going to probably need and buy it. They're going to need to have a life insurance review near their retirement. They have to have all these things happen. So be that conduit. And they're going to still always answer your emails. And that's, we created a system. We call it the gold experience, and you can recreate it to an extent, is that we just send soft journeys into these client agents that raise their hand. I actually talked about it at Medicarians, and we're charging $100 a month. And what we create all these journeys that just touch on the products, just saying, my clients have asked about this. If this is something that's important, here's some information about final expense, whatever it might be. Click here if you're interested in more information. Very passive, very soft, but it's touching on all the aspects. And then we also make sure that they send some wellness information in these emails so that people aren't thinking they're trying to get stuck up for product. And we just create and move that agent in a higher position of trust, because if something goes drastically good or drastically bad, the insurance agent is going to be one of the first three people notified. So respect the fact that you have that clout. People will open your mail and people will open your email. And if you don't monetize it, and I'll go back to the stupid saying, but if you don't mind, you are consciously allowing the fox in the henhouse. If you don't take care of that answer for your clients, somebody else is.
Right.
And I think it's too hard to business and too hard your acquisition cost to have a client. But to talk to them about another product is really pretty simple. So if you think about it, and you can lead it in by saying, a bunch of my clients here lately in the last month have talked about IRA rollovers. Do you have like an old 401k that's sitting somewhere? Yeah, found all these super cool deals. I've been talking with Dave Thompson. He's my financial planner that I work with my clients. I shouldn't talk to you. It's a good conversation. It's not a terrible conversation. It's just you're putting yourself at a better position. And we just kind of either get you to my agency, our IFC, consider ourselves a marketing company, and we partner with agents that we work with. and we just want to get their knowledge level either up to ask the right questions and hand it off, or ask the right questions and write the business. And then we do all the background search as far as best product. If it's a risk, like if it's a health insurance, if it's a life insurance thing, we'll find the best option for like a pre-diabetic or a diabetic or those type of things. So my in-house people just scour the countryside and give them the best options they can have, so they don't have to worry about that stuff at all. They stay in their wheelhouse. But
Gotcha.
I think that answers your question
Yeah.
on that. The idea is that more is better in this scenario, and more makes them more loyal too, because they really feel that you are their conduit to those answers of anything regarding risk.
Yeah, and I like the way that you brought in, I mean, the whole, and now you're creating a community at this point, right? If you're bringing in other people within the equation here, you're doing the Medicare, and then again, this is the annuity guy, and then you sort of work together. You're creating your own community, which that I have seen for myself, of course, work because especially I'm in California, right? And I'll work with other people with other different products, or I can't do this, I can't write this in California, whatever the case is, just to your point, but just sort of bring it to like a California kind of version. Um, but that does actually create inbound leads for you because you've had this kind of community, this connection. This guy's good for that. So therefore, I'm going to go to this person, and in return, this will happen to you as well too, just by helping out, right? Just doing the right thing, or just having a servant's heart, having the willingness to help. All of a sudden, you get a random lead, and you're like, "Whoa, okay." Well, I mean, that's something I just tell anybody really. I didn't realize it meant so much to you. And if that's the case, then yeah, more than happy to help with more clients. So I 1000%, can empathize with that statement, that sentiment, because that's generally what happens here, right? And it's like, who's a California guy? It's like, oh, Andrew, right?
Well, it's cool, and you can sit in with them, and you can kind of learn from a guy that's made all the mistakes, and it's his process might be perfect for you, and then you can learn more about them. You get a closer relationship with your team, if you want to call it that, and you can maybe start to get hey, let's data mine your clients. How many of them are turning 65 this year? Would you mind if I would you send a letter on my behalf? I'll come in your office once a month and meet with your people, or I'll do a seminar for your people. So now you got that team working together, and all the synergies are there for the right reasons. You're the expert that they can bring in, and then they're the expert you bring in, and eventually you can handle the easy stuff, and the more complicated you can just say, okay, that's above my pay grade. I'm not tax planning along with this, so let me have you talk to Dave. And I'm using Dave. It could be Jenny. It could be whatever, but I think you know what I mean in that scenario. And I think it's super important that I do a talk. It's called 30 Marketing Ideas in 30 Days. And one of them is just finding people that are professionals and do specialization and team up with them, because they have a client list too. And if you have a good enough relationship, they'll share and they'll data mine, and they'll find those, the Medicare leads or final expense leads or ACA leads or whatever you want to do, whatever you're specializing in.
That's awesome. Did you have like how did you start this brick by brick when you had the vision, right, of, okay, this is something that isn't being addressed, or this is a community that has been underserved, or this is a situation.
Actually, wrote an article in the Insurance News Network.
Okay, there you go. There answers that.
I'll keep you the out of the Henhouse. This was in 2023. I have a friend. His name's Bob Dieter, and he has an agency up in Albany, Minnesota. And his office is right on the corner of Main Street. And literally, he writes everything. He has a PNC guy in there. He has a financial planner. He does everything I talked about. He created in-house. And there isn't a product he can't sell. And I said, Bob, how do you keep track of all of this stuff? Because property and casualty, I started with Farm Bureau 31 years ago, but he probably offers near 100 different products. I would say, if you count all the auto, different types of fun toys and stuff, that kind of things. He goes, well, look out my front door, and on the next corner, right across the street, is another agency that does the same thing he does. And he goes, if I don't do it, they have a chance to walk across the street, and then they're going to take it. So he did it for a defensive position. I'm saying it's a great defense. When I
Yeah.
wrote the article, I was talking about Bob in the article and everything. But I think it's a defensive position. But if you scroll it out and think it through, when you talk about scaling and monetizing your agency and how much revenue is able to get, it's a huge offensive position. But just at worst case scenario, it's defensive. I think it's a little tighter to the vest kind of a position. But if you think about it broader, what it can do and how it can work for you, it's a great offensive position. So that's kind of was the brainchild in 23. And the other idea was I was getting bombarded with a lot of IMOs coming in, and I felt we were doing fine. I've got just shy of 4,000 agents, but back in 23, it was about half of that. We're growing crazy right now, but they had no value prop. They just run my contracts through, and we're like, well, what are you guys offering? We're trying to partner with agencies, trying to find out their marketing. We're helping them put up billboards. We're co-producing things. We're getting them marketing materials that they'd have to pay a fortune for to get created, and we're just dropping their names on there. We're getting them, giving them all these things, and I'm like, well, how about being a partner and look at it as a partner IMO deal, kind of like what you do. You help people get off the ground and really get rolling in this industry, or get people to the next level, kind of what you do. And we just wanted to do it from an IMO basis without distribution arm, meaning that we don't do any direct. We have no retail. We're just for the agent experience. So that kind of started those 2 or 3 things that kind of fell in place for us and really skyrocket our growth. We started getting people. We're at like about 100 new agents a month right now. And after Medicarians, it might even be more than that. So we are fast approaching 10,000 agents. So.
Yeah, next year is gonna be at the Bacchanal buffet if you had to do it there.
Already
Just
got
kidding.
plans for after bars. So all right.
Yeah, no, you guys always throw really cool events, and there's always, seafood involved. And
Yeah.
you had some that Chinese restaurant there was
My
pretty
God,
good
we never
yesterday. And
stop bringing food
what
out.
was the one dish that we were raving about? I believe you had a recommendation. You or your wife, you're like, this is the dish to get. I forgot which one it was.
I can't remember. It
It
was
was
crazy. It was how good that stuff was. And
uh,
the Marrakesh was kind of fun this year too. We went that. I
yeah.
don't think you can. You're on that one at Marrakesh.
I don't think no, not
That
that
was the
one, but
next step.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Uh,
anyhow, that was yeah. We try to have a lot of fun.
yeah, no, you guys
Usually
do have a lot of
in
fun.
our
I can
meetings,
see it.
we sponsor anything we can, and everybody knows we're good for the happy hour too. So.
Yeah, no, of course you guys are. I'm gonna definitely I'm gonna double down on that. So for the people who are trying to get started in this kind of like, what is the push? What is the gentle push that you want to give them to be like, hey, look, you got to do this. You're
Oh,
like leaving money on the table, and why
yeah.
not do
I
this?
would I would say that the easiest deal, and it's completely in our wheelhouse. So we kind of do an advanced sales training thing on this, is make sure when you're going through that Medicare 101 with the people, when you're telling them what Medicare is, start telling them what it isn't. This doesn't cover any final expense or things like that. Is that a problem? And if their eyebrows raise or they look, we just go, I can't talk about that right now. Let me write a note. So, what, after open enrollment's done or whatever, I'll get back to you on that. And it's, what it is, it covers you for how many days in the hospital, but it's not long-term care. It doesn't give you, is that a problem? Oh, my father just went through it. Again, I can't talk about this now. Let me jot a note and I'll get back to you in regards to that. And when they talk about price and things like that, you can talk about affordability. Again, I can't talk about annuities or investments, but if that's something important, you create the simple questions in that Medicare things that are compliant and they're built in, and you sell off the scope. You can do those things that you need to, and talk about what is going to max out your out of pocket the fastest. Well, cancer would be one. We can actually, if you're looking at a hospital indemnity product, we can add cancer coverage. It's completely within scope. Or if you want to stand alone, we'll just talk about that at another time. And so you use what you're used to, which is in your wheelhouse, which you're most comfortable with, just to create the opportunity to be able to sell those other products down the road. And that's just the simple baby step into it. And then if you do talk to them and say, I'm really, after the appointment, set up, call them back and say, you said you were concerned about long-term care and maybe final expense. I'm going to have my buddy Dave step in on a meeting, but do you have something open next Tuesday or Thursday at 1 or 3 o'clock? His calendar is open too. I'd like to talk to you more about that. And then you just kind of become the conduit for information, learn it yourself, and start knocking out the ones that you can do yourself.
I love
And
that.
it's super easy if you think of the simple step is I know Medicare really well, but people that you're talking to don't. So they need to know what it is and isn't, what it will cover and what it won't cover, and that'll create all your opportunity you'll ever need. And you're in scope, you're doing everything ethically and compliantly, but you're also being their agent. You're not just being a transaction hound. You're taking that oath that I'm going to take care of you. This is a big part of it.
Right.
So I think you can get a little soapboxy on it, but it's still monetized. You can still monetize it, and you can buy stuff with it. So there is that too.
Hey, look, I mean, if there's again, I'm happy you started with the splits and all that because some people aren't or sort of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? It is just
Yeah,
what it is with these kind of things. So they sort of want either a mentor or somebody that did it before or someone that's just gonna
yeah.
really just take take it and
Well,
go with it,
yeah.
right? And then
Yeah,
just
like my
let me
buddy
know what
Mitch,
happens.
he works on a light split. I think it should be a more 50-50, but he's actually on the light end of it. He just jobs it up. He's flat out, he could sell it or whatever, but he's so really he's laser focused and he stays in the Medicare lane, finds the opportunities, tells them who's going to talk to him, tells them who's going to talk to him, and just passes that lead downstream. It's his agency, and he knows exactly what revenue he's got coming in, and he just leaves it to the experts. But he makes sure that they're on his team.
Boom. Love that. And I want to be very respectful of your time here. But if you have some just encouraging last words here for some of our California agents on either how to get started with this or, what's next, or don't worry about this certain aspect of your business, what message do you have for them?
I still think this is an amazing industry, and it's really inflation proof and it's recession proof. If things go through a dip or whatever you want to call it, believe it or not, people use product more than they do sometimes when the things are going well. You're doing great work in this thing, but if you choose to do everything in-house, I would still partner with finding a financial planner near you and a PNC agency near you. I can talk about Mitch again. He works with about 7 or 8 different property guys that send him all their leads, but he's told them, I can't send you leads because I work with a lot of you guys, but I'll guarantee that I won't ever sell them PNC, and I will always do the right job. And so some of your strategic partners, you may want 3 or 4 PNC agencies. And let's just start playing math. Let's say they have 1,000 households insured. That means 20% of them are seniors. How many are aging in every month? If you get 2 leads from each of these, if you have 5 or 6 of them, that's 12 Medicare soft, warm leads that you're calling on John's behalf. Yeah, I know you do PNC with John. I'm the guy he has specialized in Medicare. I'd like to meet you up at his office next Tuesday. He said you might have some questions. And you get 12 leads. If you can't sell 6 of those a month, that's $4,200. That's just having somebody else on your team working for you. So no, it'd be $3,600. I keep losing that $700. We lost that $100 last year. They gave it and they took it away. They did the fair market value. They were going to give $700 first year, and then they took it away. So
Well, in California, it's 780, so it's
is it 780? Oh, there
you're
you go.
sort of you're there. You're if anything. So,
Have a
but that's
great
awesome. No, that's yeah, yep. It is just what it is. California, we're blessed and we're cursed at the same time. With
yeah.
its pros and cons to everything. You know this.
That isn't hard business to keep. I mean, that's great stuff.
Yeah,
Make
yeah.
get a team, create a community.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that part is the community aspect of it because you just never know who might become who later on, or if you
Mhm.
guys might work together at a deeper capacity, or if you have a lot of these partners, I mean, it is just what it is. If you just want
Yeah,
to, keep
yeah,
those partners, then that's going to be your lifeline if that's what
yeah,
you're doing essentially,
yeah.
right?
And
So,
find people who specialize in group health.
yeah,
They do nothing with people who retire. They do zero work for them. And so they would have lists of people that are going to be retiring.
that's a bar
And
actually. That is a nugget right there. Yeah,
yeah,
group.
yeah.
Reach out to group people that okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That is definitely a nugget. So if you guys haven't heard it from the Todd Father himself here, I'm gonna double down on that. Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to your group people.
Yep.
Um, Todd, where can people find you, and what are some plugins you wanna throw out there?
Todd at ifcnationalmarketing.com. That's the easiest. Our team is IFC National Marketing is out on social, out on the web. My daughter, Audacity, Audrey, she has a brand, and yeah, we're very easily reachable, old school, new school, however you want to get it to us.
Yeah, yeah, no, you guys are definitely tapping into, of course, the new school with yeah, Audrey with her social media content. I really like that. I really like the one where it's like, I'm an insurance agent. I should blah blah blah. I like that one. I don't know whose idea that was, but
Yeah, she has a good chance. She has a fun time doing that.
yeah,
I know, and you know Sandra, so her and Sandra
yep,
Gephardt are,
there we go. Okay,
that's
that makes
another
sense.
really good resource for your agents is Sandra.
There we
Um,
go. Yeah,
that I
putting the
mean, affordable, and scalable with her. So
shout out to Sandra.
yeah,
No plug for you
shout
there.
out to Sandra Gephardt.
Little unintentional plug, but should long do. So, but yeah, Todd, thanks for hopping on here. I know that we might even have to do another one because I know this was sort of impromptu at Medicarians. We're like, hey, what happened to that podcast? Let's do it. I'm like, let's do it.
That's, I appreciate it, Andrew. I'm a big fan, so keep it up,
Oh
buddy.
man, I have the utmost respect for you, and I'm glad that I got to sort of dive into what you do more, and what you guys are actually specializing in now, with all that's happening. For the average Medicare agent, this should be somewhat new information, really. I mean, I've gotten something out of this too. So again, I appreciate having you on here, and again, we might have to do a part two.
Yeah. All
Um,
right.
and if we
Well,
do,
good.
then we'll make
Maybe
it
we could
happen.
do
But
talk about
Todd,
some
again, I
yeah, talk
appreciate
about
your
some
time.
yeah, maybe we can talk about some cheap or inexpensive marketing ideas.
Ooh, we could, yeah, yeah, we could definitely do that next time then,
All
because
right,
I know
buddy.
that, well, yeah, especially as a marketing agency, and people who are just, sticking to their 2 to 3 standardized leads, and
Hmm.
they might get a kick out of this. So, yeah, most definitely. Todd, thanks again for your time today, and really appreciate you being on. And if you guys want to reach out to him for any of the situations or questions that Todd had brought up, then of course reach out to Todd. But again, guys, thanks for watching today. Todd, thanks for being on, and I'll catch you guys at the next video. Thanks again.
Thanks, Andrew. Have a great day.